What's up, KidzMatter community? It is Ryan Frank, and welcome to the next episode of the KidzMatter Podcast. I'm coming to you from KidzMatter HQ in Marion, Indiana. And before we jump into today's episode, I want to personally invite you to join us at the KidzMatter Conference. The KidzMatter Conference is the leading event for children's ministry leaders and their teams. Over 3,000 people gathered for 3 days to celebrate children's ministry, to get encouraged, equipped, resourced, connected. It's 3 days that you absolutely do not want to miss. It's happening September 24th, 25th, 26th, 2024 in Evansville, Indiana. Someone will even win a car. True story. Every year we give away a car, and it might be you. Please go check out thekidsmatterconference.com to learn more and to get registered for you and your team. We do have a significant price increase happening at the end of May. So now is your time to get tickets if you have not done so already. Today we're talking about preteen ministry. The title of the episode, What the Preteen? We had the opportunity to connect with Collinn Hamm several years ago. Collinn has come to the KidzMatter Conference for probably 7 or 8 years. And this year we have him leading a breakout on this very topic. Collinn is a pastor, a kids pastor in the Smoky Mountains at Pathway Church. He leads a preteen ministry with a weekly attendance of 125 preteens. Can you believe that? 125 preteens. We talked about what are the needs of today's preteens, what are the opportunities, what are they searching for, and how can we come alongside these preteens and their parents in their faith journey. We talked about creating engaging and age-appropriate games and activities, recruiting, retaining, and volunteers who are passionate about ministering to preteens. We talked about events and outings, some of the pain points and challenges when you're leading preteen ministry, and so much more. You're going to love today's episode. Collinn is also writing an article for our summer issue of KidzMatter magazine. If you're not subscribed to KidzMatter magazine, this is a print magazine that you receive in the mail. It is a must-have for people who work with kids and families in the church. You can get subscribed when you go to KidzMatter.com. Put a Z in there, KidzMatter.com. Now, friends, without further ado, let's get this show on the road. Here is my conversation with Collinn Hamm. What's up, Collinn? Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ryan. I appreciate being here.
Hey, well, we're grateful to have you. This is Collinn Hamm. I introduced him a minute ago. He's with us on the KidzMatter Podcast. Collinn, you're writing an article in the summer issue of the magazine. You're speaking at the conference this fall.
Yes.
You might as well just move up here to Marion, Indiana, and just help us out. What do you think?
Hey, it's tempting. It's tempting.
You're in a good spot. In all seriousness, I am so grateful for you. You're a great kids pastor. You love the Lord. God has just blessed you and your wife with a great ministry. And I'm thankful for this opportunity to talk today. So thank you. We're going to talk about something that you're going to be talking about at the KidzMatter Conference. You're going to be deep diving into a breakout called What the Preteen. And what a great name, because boy, these preteens, they're interesting breeds, aren't they?
They are. I thought that would be a catchy name for the breakout to kind of get people moved in. You know, it's they're definitely different. So,
and we're going to jump into that in a minute. But first, Collinn, take a minute and share with us just your ministry journey. You know, where has God had you? What's your day-to-day ministry look like today?
Sure, absolutely. So my wife and I, Crystal, we started off at a smaller church, and we were there for 3 years working in kids ministry, basically from birth to 6th grade. We were there for about 3 years, and we felt, God calling us out, and we ended up coming to the church we're located at right now. And when we came here, they had asked us to start a preteen ministry. We had kind of dived into a little bit of preteen ministry at the old church, but not as much. We had just got started, really. So when we came here, they gave us a room and they said, make it happen. So we kind of started, we went through the room, took some things out, added some things, try to make it more preteen friendly. And we've been here for 3 years now. And I mean, it has just been such a blessing. We currently have 125 preteens.
Man, do you really?
We do. It's been an adventure. It's been great.
Man, you have more preteens than the average church in America. Isn't that crazy?
I know. I think about that all the time. You know, our other church that we were currently, the one we was at, we had, 75 members, and I think we had 35 kids from birth to sixth.
Yeah.
And now we're just, it's crazy. It is crazy.
I love it.
I do too.
As somebody who works with preteens, talk to us about, and from your perspective as a kids pastor, KidzMatter person, what are some unique characteristics and even needs that today's preteens have? I'm saying today's preteens because it's probably different than when you and I were preteens, although maybe there's some similarities, but this world we live in is so different. What are some of those needs and some of those characteristics and unique needs that today's preteens have?
For us preteens, our preteen ministry is based on 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. And our preteens, we have what we call the ask it basket and the prayer jar. And because preteens are at that age, especially when they hit 5th and 6th grade, they're at that age to where they're really starting to own their own faith. They're starting to really try to identify who they are, who God is, not my parents', version of God, or not, the pastor's version of God, but who's God to me. Yeah. And, it makes they're starting to find themselves and find where they belong. And, talking about where we was as preteens compared to where they are, I mean, they have technology at their fingertips, their cell phones, laptops. And I mean, they have so much knowledge about things that we didn't know until we were in 8th grade, 9th grade. And, they're looking for that. They're trying to find, the world is pulling me this way. And, we've got to try to make sure that we help them navigate, the difference between the world and the Bible, and knowing who God is and who God's created them to be. And, the average preteen that we have right now is really struggling with identity. And it's so sad to see and sad to hear, but I mean, at the same time, they're like sponges, just soaking it in, like listening to everything you say. I mean, sometimes, we all have kids in our ministries who we feel like they're not listening, but man, are they listening? They are paying attention.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you're exactly right. These kids really are. I mean, I think it's not just these kids, but boy, I mean, just really trying to figure out who are they. You're right. And where are they getting their identity? Because it's so easy for them by default to get it from their friends, from social media, from Snapchat, from TikTok, instead of finding their identity in the one that created them. And that's really a lot of our task, isn't it, as parents and as KidzMatter leaders and preteen leaders, helping them see who they are in Christ during these very, very formidable years. Now, Collinn, you're leading this growing ministry with preteens. They're a unique age group in that they still have kid in them, but they're growing up. They're entering that junior high, middle school, high school. Talk to us about what we need to keep in mind as far as creating activities, games, events that are age appropriate, engaging. They're not too childish, but they're not too, grown up either. What's that look like for you, and what are your thoughts?
This is one that we at first we kind of struggled with, because coming from children's church, we were used to doing things the children's way. And the preteens, we've come to find that a lot of our preteens, they feel like as if they are youth ministry, or if they're junior middle school, or however you want to say that. But in reality, they're not ready for that yet. So we've been engaging them in, minute to win it games, games that You know, 60 seconds. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's
Yeah.
competitive. You know, you're thinking your average preteen boys, football, basketball, they're competitive.
Yeah.
So they love those competitive games. Um, yeah, you definitely, you know, when we transitioned, when we started, you know, I have a parent who told me the other day, we were talking, and he said, man, he said, I respect, I love what you guys are doing. He said, but when I go home, you know, my daughter's still playing with Barbies at home. And I'm like,
Right.
yeah, she is. Because we were talking about, you know, spiritual development and stuff. I'm like, yeah, but she, you know, she is really growing up there. I mean, she's one of these kids that she has her Bible, she has her journal, she's taking notes. And, you know, so they're really engaging.
That's true.
Um, you know, we do a couple different events. We have camp coming up here in a couple months or
Mhm.
next month actually. And then we do probably 5 to 6 events for the preteens. Our last one we just did called Jam Night, Jesus and Me. We all are familiar with that. But we did Jam Night, we did silent disco, and we had pizza, we had shaved ice. And we were coming out of Easter. So we were really pushing evangelism and inviting friends to church and things like that. And man, the kids really showed up. We had
Neat.
87 students come in, and then they brought 22 friends that don't come to our
Wow.
church. And so,
Wow.
man, yeah, it was amazing. We got finished with our pizza, silent disco, and shaved ice. Went upstairs, and preteens led worship, and then we came up. We did a message, and just, you know, it's those things, letting them belong, and they love leading worship. I mean, we put them in our first through third grade room to lead worship for them,
Yeah.
and that is what they need, that sense of belonging and leadership. So.
Yeah, I love that. Do you think, Colin, that, you talked about you had activities planned for the kids, but then, gave them a chance to connect and hang out. Do you feel like that with preteens, do you have to plan activities and games and stuff, or can you just let them hang out? Or do you think it's both?
You know, I think a little bit of both, but I mean, yeah, you don't have to plan activities all the time. You know, coming from the church that we came from, you know, we know budget is a huge thing for a lot of folks. And
Mhm.
you don't have to, for them, it's just a place and a space to hang out and to grow and to have friends. And, you
Right.
know, for that's the main priority for them. They love all the extra things, of course. And, you know, we can use all the bells and whistles when we can, but to get them in and to having a place that they belong, and they can invite friends there. I mean, that's key.
I think so. Yeah. Talk to us about your team. So if you've got all these preteens, I assume it's just you, more than you and Crystal. You have some volunteers, right? Talk to us about them.
Oh man, this is probably one of my favorite parts to talk about. So
Yeah.
we have, again, over 120 preteens. We do 5 identical services at our church. So
Okay.
it's very different. Um, we have 12 preteen leaders, only 12, but those
Okay.
12 are so passionate. And what's really interesting, Ryan, is that out of those 12, 8 of them are men that are passionate about
Wow.
the preteens. Yes. And that is, you know, we got your Kid Men book, and, you know, I
Yeah.
was thinking about that, and man, our preteens, our males in our church, I mean, we have 2 college, I think the 20, 21, 22-year-old males that help us out. And then we have
Yeah.
a 55-year-old male, and the rest of them are in their 30s. And then we have 3 to 4 females. And the males are just gravitated towards this preteen ministry. I mean, we're doing paintball wars and things like that, things that
That's
they.
so neat.
And what's really awesome though is, you know, they know the need for a father figure. So they are just, I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better team. So yeah, our team is just amazing. Our women, they always pull through for us. You know, they're rock behind us. They help us out with organization and
Yeah.
crafts and things like that we don't have the gift to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got a great team.
What encouragement would you give to maybe a kids pastor out there that wants to do more with preteens, but I don't really have the people for that, the help? Um,
Mm.
do you have any words of advice or encouragement as far as recruiting, building a team of people that are going to focus specifically on preteens?
Yeah, you know, when we first came to this church, we didn't have a team. It was just Crystal and I.
Okay.
Um, and where we started from was within. We looked at some of our, and I know some people may not like this aspect at first, but we looked within. We looked at our preteens parents. And we pulled something there. We was like, hey, would you love to get involved? We need some chaperones. We're going to do this event or this activity.
Yeah.
And that is where it started for us. They really came through and they pulled in. Depending on how many preteens you have, the majority, our preteens are fairly well behaved. When Chris and I first started, we started with the room, maybe 20 preteens to start out with on a service. And, we had to do it a while by ourselves, but I would just encourage the person who is wanting to do a preteen ministry, but doesn't have the leaders right now, that God will provide those leaders. Just continue to ask, look at the parents, look at, and then it will continue to spiral. People will get involved after they see the fruit from the preteen ministry.
I think you're right. Yeah. Good advice, Collinn. Thank you so much. Let's come back to events for a minute. So you mentioned you have all these services on Sunday. Does most of your preteen ministry happen at the church? Do you do events outside the church or outings? I know you said you have camp coming up, but do you do much outside of the regular scheduled church service times?
So with our events and activities, like I said, we'll do probably 4, maybe 5 counting camp a year. 2 of those will be at the church.
Okay.
So for instance, tonight was at the church. It was downstairs in our gymnasium that we have. We will do a movie night, which is, it was my wife's idea. I didn't think preteens were really going to enjoy the movie night, but a couple years ago, we did Super Mario Bros. Themed movie night. They loved it. And we did a message at the end. They loved it. We do have a trampoline park. So we do a lock-in there once a year, which is fun.
Neat.
Yeah. And, for instance, we do our 6th grade trip. We go to, of course, we live in the Smoky Mountains. So we have a lot of stuff at our fingertips. So we go to NASCAR Speed Park. Yeah. So we're very blessed with that. So we went to NASCAR Speed Park for a 6th grade event. But you can do almost everything here at your church. If you have fellowship hall, kind of put the tables and chairs up. That's what we did at our other church. But a lot of stuff can be done here. From going outside, setting up bounce houses if you want to, those kind of things. The preteens still love bounce houses. They tear them up, but they still love them. So.
They do love them though, don't they? You're right. Yep, you're right. So let's talk about challenges. So we know there are a lot of opportunities with preteen ministry. These kids are, they're searching for answers. They are trying to figure out who they are. Gives us great ministry opportunities. They want places to connect with their friends. They want things to do. So there's just a ton of opportunity. Let's talk about some of the challenges. So as a kids pastor yourself, as someone who, you network with other preteen people and you're on Isle of Kid Men, what are some of the common challenges that you have found in preteen ministry yourself, and then that you have discovered that other churches encounter?
I would say one of the biggest that I encountered at our other church, and then I've definitely got a group of people that I've spoken to that struggle with this, is where to do a preteen ministry. Where do I start that? I don't have the room in my church. We don't have enough space. I would encourage anyone who is battling with that to look at what you do have. So if you're a normal church and you do Wednesday, Sunday services, it's a lot, but maybe if God's calling you to pull in and do that preteen ministry, maybe do what we did, pull on a Friday night and say, hey, we're going to do preteen ministry two Friday nights of a month to start out and see what happens. And I promise you, once you do that, you will find a room and a place for these kids. We have at our church right now, we've had to kind of move some rooms around because we had a room just specifically for 1-year-olds, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds. And, sometimes you got to combine a little bit to make room for new ministries. We're always changing as a ministry, as a church. So that is one thing I would say. The second thing I think is really big is 6th graders. So your average 6th grader is I mean, they're in limbo status. They don't know if they want to be in kids church, if they want to be in youth ministry.
That's true.
They're struggling big time. And
Yeah.
so a lot of people are like, man, what do I do? I've got sixth graders who don't want to come to kids church, or they don't want to come to preteen ministry. What do I do with them? You've got to let them lead. You've got to open up positions within your preteen ministry or even your kids church to help them to find a place to belong, to lead. They need to feel wanted. They need to feel important. They need to feel as if they're not looked at as a fourth grader anymore, but as a potential leader in your ministry.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, that is good. Two good, Collin, I think you're exactly right. Those are two challenges. Space, you're right, and those sixth graders.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned the same lesson early in, or it took me a while as a kids pastor to learn this, but once I figured it out, it really was a game changer. And that is, you've got to give those fifth and sixth graders a chance to serve and give them some leadership. And they will step up to that leadership. They will. Collin, do you use a curriculum, or do you write your own curriculum?
I write my own curriculum. Yes, sir.
Do you? Okay, good.
We
Go ahead.
we as a church, we use Orange. We've been using Orange, and but for preteens, I just, I'll be honest with you. I just, I'm with them a lot, so I just feel like, with talking to them, with their parents, and having that relationship with them, I have found it easier for me to kind of write the curriculum out and kind of plan it accordingly. So
that makes sense. Sure. It's been a great conversation, Collin. Make sure that you're connected with Collin on Facebook. He's a part of our I Love Kidmin Facebook community. Again, he'll be at the KidzMatter conference this fall. It's only 4 months away, Collin. Can you believe that? 4 months, we're all going to be together.
Excited. Yeah.
A little bit more of a drive for you this year, isn't it? Having to come up to Indiana.
It is, but I'm excited for this new facility, and I kind of check it out. Like, we're excited. We're pumped. We're bringing. I think this is our 6th or 7th year coming. So
isn't that crazy? Excited. Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy.
And he's leading a breakout on this very topic, where he's going to drill deep for an hour on preteen ministry. So as you are mapping out your breakouts, this is one to consider. If you're bringing a team, at least send somebody from your team to this breakout, because it is going to be a good one. Now, Collin, I always like to end the podcast with these two questions. First, I'd love to hear from you. What's your favorite Bible story, and what makes it your favorite?
Favorite Bible story. I don't know if this is really considered a Bible story, but my favorite is, it's got to be where Jesus is walking on water, and he calls Peter, and Peter calls out and wants to follow him. And here's why. I think of myself, and I think of, how many times do we, especially being called into ministry, are we like Peter? We're on that boat. We see Jesus. We're going towards him, and everybody else is saying, "No, hey, what are you doing? That's crazy." But no, we're stepping out. We're stepping out. We're keeping our eyes on him. And I use this a lot with our preteens too. Is they're in a boat, and they have to step out, and they have to follow Christ. They have to listen to his voice, not get distracted with the things around them. And keep their eyes on him the whole time. So that's probably my favorite.
That's a good story, isn't it?
It is. That's my go-to.
It's a good one. All right, then finally, Collin, number 2, what's something big that you're working on right now?
Something big. We actually just started our own internship program. This is the first year of doing it at our church. We have 6 to 7 interns that are college interns. And
6 or 7, you don't know? You better know.
Well, one's in limbo, so we're trying to.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
To battle some stuff, and
man, what a great! So talk to us about this. What's this internship program look like?
Oh man, it is so great. So we have a few college students who feel called into ministry, and we want to help them to be able to elevate their call to ministry, or to know that maybe vocational ministry isn't the direction that God's called them to. But we want to help elevate them. We want them to be able to be equipped for ministry, and that's what we're going to spend the next 3 months on. We're trying to help them to understand that it doesn't matter if you're in kids ministry, preteen ministry, youth ministry, we all wear many hats in ministry. And we're kind of got them plugged in all over the church, from facilities to nursery to youth ministry. So this is an exciting, but we know that it's going to take some, we're going to have to work some things out. There's going to be some hiccups along the way, but man, we're so pumped about it.
Man, that's really neat. I love to hear churches that are bringing up, really investing in the next level of leaders and offering internships and practical hands-on ministry. And I love that you're doing that. I'm excited to hear how it goes. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Collinn Hamm. Collinn, thank you so much for the difference that you're making in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee, and just that encouragement that you are. I know you're an active part of our Facebook community in the KidzMatter community. Get your summer issue of the KidzMatter magazine, because Collinn has an article coming, and if I'm remembering right, it has something to do with multi-generational stuff. Am I thinking right?
You are. Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about the article.
Well, my article it talks about generations. It talks about reaching the next generation. It talks about, I go into a little bit of, Crystal and I's story of how we came to be a part of KidzMatter.
Yeah.
And God has led us from there, and just about reaching the next generation for Christ. So I
love it.
It was fun to write, for sure.
I love it. And if you're not subscribed, go to kidzmatter.com, get subscribed, so you can get this in your mailbox here in just a couple weeks. You'll be receiving that. So Collinn, thanks so much for your time today. Keep up the great work, and we'll see you in Evansville, Indiana in a few months.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate it.